Metal kids. All right. Some guys asked to get a video of how I make the light poles for my catch fencing. So I've got a few done here. We need to do 3 more. I need a dozen total. I got my light pods already printed out. As you know, this is already on the one corner of the track in the first big turn. So I measure these at 5 3/4 inches, and then we go ahead and cut it. Here we go. All right, I recommend you do this in a vise if you have one of some sort. This, my soldering vise actually works really good for this. Get these blocks out of the way. Try to have a decently sharp blade if you can help it. And then just give it a cut. All right, I need 3 more, so what we're gonna do, we're gonna measure these out off of that one and go ahead and get them cut. And this is just aluminum tubing. In the video, I'll post links to everything where you can print the pods and the track bracket you need, and then the aluminum tubing, and then the LEDs that I used. If you're interested, try not to cut yourself when you're doing it. I did not, thank goodness. All right, we got to measure out one more here. I think you get 6 tubes of stock when you buy this. It makes quite a few tubes. And if these aren't exactly you know, 5 3/4, as long as they're close to it, it'll be fine. Nobody's going to notice a slight height difference. All right. Going to move the camera back. All right, the next thing you want to do is clean up your ends. You'll have some sharp ends on there and some that are mushroomed out a little bit. I don't think that's the right term, but you kind of get it. So we're going to clean these up right now. I go around it at an angle, and then flat. Just kind of check it with your hand. If there's any edges left, you know, you want to get those out of there. And if the cut's not perfectly straight, again, that's not a big deal either. They're going to be inside the bracket or the light pod. Okay, that one's still got a little bit of an edge. And then the other thing I recommend you do is ream these out just a little bit. I use this small flat screwdriver. You don't want any junk in there when you try to thread through with your light. All right, so let's go ahead and get these 3 ready. These other 2, that is, excuse me. See a little sharp edge there still. Just kind of roll it on the thing as you're filing. Of course, you could do this on a grinder if you wanted to. This being aluminum, I don't really think that's necessary. See what I mean here? You want to get that out of there, make it nice and clear. All right, one more. Got some porcupine tree jamming in there. Suppose I could have stopped the video, but oh well, it's all good. We're almost done here, and then I'll show you the bending process. I'm not going to have a link for the tubing bender. It's a brake line tubing bender is what it is, so Now when you're done with this, you want to get all those shavings into your garbage. Okay. All right. Okay. All right. Now, once you get one of these right, use that as a template for the others. Like I said, this is just a brake line tubing bender. I've done these a few times, so I can usually get them off the first whack. But you just situate it in there and bend it to where you need it. That's about right there. And then you just check. Almost right. Yeah, that's actually just fine. See, there's a slight tiny difference there on the height. No big deal. All right, so then you just keep going. You know, normally you just get all dozen ready and bend them out. There you go, there's another one. That one I went a little far on. Bending that back is not easy. All right, good enough. Okay. I gotta search out some product I need to continue. Hang on, we'll be back. All right, we're back. I've only got a little bit of the mirrored craft paper left. When I went to Hobby Lobby, they have some stuff that's kind of shiny, but it's not like this. This is actually pretty mirrored, especially if you get a clean piece. We're just looking for a little bit of a reflection here. So what I like to do is just press that into there, get yourself a little indent, and then go ahead and cut it out with your scissors. I know this seems tedious, but it's really worth the effort. And if you don't have any of that mirrored paper, aluminum foil will work just fine in a jiffy. All right, that looks good. And then we just stick a little of glue stick on the back. Doesn't have to be a lot. It's generally going to stay in there just by the staticness of being in there, but then I press it into there. Now I screwed up. I should have done a different step first. So the size of these LEDs that I'm using, they fit in there really nice without sticking out, but the problem is these wires with the diode with resistor on the back here, they won't fit through the stock hole in there, and the hole needs to be a little bigger. So we take yonder drill bit and I just hold it down this way, that way the drill bit won't contact your hand, and then just hollow this out a little bit. It doesn't take much. There's one done. Okay, see, I should have done that before. I kind of tore that up. Not so much that we can't use it, but... So let's go ahead and do these. Oh, that stinky plastic. What's cool too about these light pods is you can clearly, you know, since they're 3D printed, you can make them whatever color you want. I like this color because it looks metallic, because they probably would be, obviously. All right, that's all of them. Get your junk in the garbage. Okay. All right. Sorry, my head got in the way there. Sometimes I forget that camera's up there. I bang my head into it now and then. Bang your head. Okay, this one is kind of screwed. That's all right. No big deal, mate. We'll just press out another one, eh? Eh? A nudge is as good as a wink to a blind bat. We're only gonna probably get like 2, 3 more out of this. And we'll have to go to the foil, but that's okay. Like I said, the foil works just fine. This song isn't that good. Let's give it a nice little smear. It doesn't have to be like a lot, like I said. And just shove her down in there and press it in there as best you can. Don't worry if you scratch it a little bit, no big deal. All right. Okay, I'm gonna finish these up. You guys don't need to sit here and watch me do all these. All right, kids, we've got all those ready to go. As you can see, the mirrored ones definitely are a little shinier than the aluminum foil ones, but the aluminum foil ones work. So it's all good in the neighborhood. All right, so we need to now super glue those bad boys in place and let them dry, because you want those to dry as well. You know, give them a good hour or so. So I put a little smear just around here. You don't need a ton, but kind of get it all the way around. And just put your light post on, and or your light pod onto the light post. And let it dry. If you don't, those pods will move around. I found out from the first section of fencing. So it's I did this, and then it totally remedied the situation. So just make sure you got them pushed in all the way. If them sitting flat, that's about the angle you want, so on your light pod. And if it's not exactly where you want it, you can always unglue it and re-glue it. You know what I mean. Super glue don't work as good as they act like it does. Remember those old ads where the guy had the hard hat glued to the beam and he was hanging onto the hard hat and not falling? Yeah, I called bull crap on that. I called bull crap on that back then when I was a little kid. I'm like, that ain't gonna work. These aren't hard to do, it's just tedious work. There's a lot of little steps, as you can see. Next, we've got to do the lights. You got to put it into the bracket, and then you go ahead and feed the light through. Then you got to feed the light wires through the holes in the bracket. It's involved, but your end product's really good. And then the catch fence is a total pain in the butt because it's that gutter guard, and you gotta trim it up and paint it. Trimming it up is the worst part. See, this one I got a little bit funky when I was bending it, but it's no problem. You can just finagle it. So there's like a little bit of glue left, but you can't get it to squirt out. So rather than just throw it away, ooh, hang on, kids. That's not good. Whoops. Uh-oh. All right, we saved it. Let me wipe this off. Pick up the LED I dropped. All right. That one might give us some problems later, we'll see. We'll leave it as is for now. All right, get some more glue here. Almost done. Do not be impatient and not let these dry completely before you do the next step. Patience is a virtue. It's like in model building. You got to be patient. And that's easier said than done. I remember as a little kid doing models, man, I couldn't stand waiting. Especially when you painted your parts. You want to paint your parts before you put it together, because that's just the smart way to go about it. All right, last one. I got Dan working on putting together the other 16 I need for the next corner, but he hasn't done a dang thing with them in a week, and I'm finally getting my butt moving on this, so I might have to take them back. Strip the sole. All right, so that's it for this step. We're gonna let these dry for a few hours, then we'll come back and I'll show you guys the insertion of the LEDs and get them into the bracket, and then they'll be pretty much ready to install. So, metal. All right, kids, we're back. Let's go ahead and install the light in one of these in the pole and see how it's done. All right, so that'll slide down to there. You go ahead and fish this through here. You want these to kind of be flat. Sometimes you got to pull the pole up and kind of fiddle with them a little bit. Sometimes you got to turn them a little bit. They both don't come out. Oh, remember I said you had to ream them? I missed this one. And that's probably why it wouldn't work. All right, let's see what we get this time. Get some more porcupine tree going in there. Yellow Hedgerow Dreamscape. Check it out. Fantastic track. And you just got to kind of finagle those to get them through the hole. Sometimes it goes real easy, sometimes it does not. And we got it. All right, and then in here, you want to kind of push that into there until about where that resistor is. You can kind of give it a slight tug as you push. Get that last little bit, and that'll kind of put it there, and that is it. It is ready to install and run the wiring to. Now for the wiring, you can use just a 12-volt power supply or a DC power supply of some sort. This is an adjustable one. Your whites, your hot. Let's do a little demo for you here. Then I run them right at 12 volts. And all my lighted stuff is running off one power supply. Get her up to 12. So as you can see, it's pretty darn bright. So it's ready to go on the track. And that is how you do the Biggs System light pole. Lord Bane's deal. So like I said, I'll put all the products and stuff, links in the description field if you hit more on this video. So I hope this is useful for everybody. The track lighting really looks boss, and it adds a really nice layer to your track. And then you can do night racing. So, all right, there we go, kids. Metal. Thanks for watching. See you later, slot cowboys. Race on. Remember, there's no wrong way to slot car. Metal.